So we have understood about different types of built-in functions, right? I have discussed almost all built-in functions, nearly 40 plus built-in 40 to 50, I guess. So I've left some of the built-in functions which I'll be discussing some of them when we go for anonymous functions, where we'll be using lambda keyword, where we have filter and map. And when we go for files concept, we'll be discussing about open built-in function. And remaining things are not widely used, so you need not worry about them. First, let's understand what do you mean by anonymous. Just think on it, because it's simple. Anonymous nothing but it's a nameless person, right? In the same way, if you try to declare a function without def keyword, then they are called anonymous functions. It's as simple as it is. Then you get a question in your mind, why do we need to declare anonymous functions? It's something like, if you wanted to go in a straight way, you may think, why can't I go take a shortcut? Right? In the same way, you can use anonymous functions where you need not declare def keyword, but you can use lambda keyword and you can write your arguments list here. To the right side, you need to give up your expression. That's where you need not follow the structured manner. That is the reason these are called as anonymous functions. And with those things, we'll be having a combination of filter and map, right? First, let's understand about anonymous functions by taking an example. So what do I do is, let's open our previous script file, where if I don't want to execute the previous result, what I can do? I can just keep all of them as comments, right? Even as we have seen so many built-in functions, you need not worry about all of them, because we'll be using everything according to our logic. We may not use all of them, right? Even you see Boolean. Why did I didn't discuss? Because already we have discussed about this. Boolean of anything is true, right? In the same way, we'll be using some of them when we need, but we may not use everything, because we have already used format function in print type, and we have seen about id. What does id will return you? Id will give you the memory location or identity of an object. So according to the necessity, we need to go for it, right? That's where these built-in functions play a very vital role. And now let's understand the importance of anonymous functions. It's simple. You declare functions without def keyword, they are called as anonymous functions. Something like, you need not write a structured manner of code in a function, but it is also a function. That is the reason we are discussing it. So functions without def keyword are called as anonymous. There is no proper specific definition for that. So to make it available, we'll be using our lambda keyword. That's where we use lambda keyword, right? So just make it simple. If you are using lambda keyword, that means you are not using def keyword. That has become anonymous function. So what do I do is, so first let's understand the syntax for that. So the syntax could be basically, you just use your anonymous, you just use your lambda keyword. Sorry, I'm spelling anonymous, right? You just use your lambda keyword, lambda, and you write your argument list, whatever the number of arguments you gave. So just I'll make it as, in layman terms, arguments, and to the right side, evaluate your expression. That's it. That is the basic syntax. With this single line of code, you can do anything. You're wondering, right? Let me prove it. So first, for understanding that, what do I do is, I'll take a simple function to compute a logic equation. So I'll take a simple function to compute. What is the logic? The math logic is 3 into x plus 1, right? Where I'll also define x value. X is equal to 5. Okay. How do you do this? Just blindly, what do you do first? You define a function name and you take the argument as x. Obviously, you'll be doing this, right? So you start giving triple quotes. What does this triple quote will tell you? Simple function. Where we are giving mathematical equation actually, right? So what do you try to return over there? You just return the equation is 3 into x plus 1. So finally, when we call the function, what do you do? So I just give print of a of, what is the value you are trying to give? It's 5, right? So when I save this and execute, obviously you will be getting the result as 16. That is 3 into 5 plus 1, that is 15 plus 1 is 16. And even when you run the cell, when you run this shell same time, so if I give a of 25, so 3 into 25 plus 1, 25 3 is 75. You're getting some description down. Okay, if you don't want to say this, what I'll do is, let me just save this file again. Okay, I've saved this. And even if you wanted to run it again, what do? You just click on run, you get the result over here. And a of 10, you get 10 in. Every time you're running the function, you get the same result. There is no difference. But I'll write these 3 lines of code, including docstring, that is 4 lines, into a single line. How do you do that? Let me just keep them in comments. And by using the syntax of anonymous function, that is lambda argument expression, I'll assign it to a variable. A is equal to lambda. What are the arguments you are trying to give? Only one argument, right? That is x. What is your expression? 3 into x plus 1. That's it. And then what do you try to give the value here? So call the value, or even if you try to give, before understanding what do we have any other specific type of anonymous function, you have all those things in mind, right? So first remove those things by getting the result. So just give print of type of a. What did you get? It's a function again. There is no difference over there. It is again a function. You need not worry about it. So now I'll pass the value to it. So print of a of x. It is expecting x. So I'll give some value 5. See, the same logic without def keyword and without return keyword, you are executing it. So when you save and execute it, the answer is class function and the result is 16. And even when you call it here, you will get the same result, 25 3 is 75 plus 1. So that's where we use anonymous functions, only by using lambda keyword, and you write your arguments to your left side and expression to your right side. That's where we use. And even to make it more significant, I'll be dealing one more example with single input, and then we'll go for multiple input. Okay, so what I can do is, I can take a string also. What is wrong over there? So lambda, what is my argument? A single, a is 2. I want to convert that string to uppercase. So I give a dot upper, obviously. And what do you do here? You just pass the value print of, what is the value you are trying to give? Yes of. It is expecting a string. I am giving a string. If you just directly give any other value, you will get an error. I'll show that thing also. When you just execute this, Saket is uppercase. You pass some value here. If you give 25, see, attribute error. Int object is not having uppercase. That is upper function. So if you just give any other string, whatever you pass it here, it is completely into uppercase, because we have given the logic in such a way. So here s is a function, but it is anonymous function. So in that way you can pass anything. Suppose if you want to get the square of the numbers, you can do it. X is to x square, or power of it, you can do it, right? So print of d of whatever the value you give, 25. You see, when you save and execute it, you can clearly get 25 and 25 is 625. So you can do wonders with this. Whatever you have learned till now, you can start executing by anonymous function. Just give your lambda keyword, and then you give your argument list, and then pass your expression. Okay, that is fine. Now I'll try to make sure we understand this with multiple input. So for that, I'll be taking a very simple example of social media registration, because when do you go for registration now into a web page, what do? You just pass your first name and last name, right? Yes. So with that logic, what do I do is, I create an anonymous function. Whatever you want to create, you can create with the def keyword, that becomes a user defined function. But my intention is to make it very simple. That is multiple input here for anonymous function. So I'll write my variable name as full name, and directly I pass my function here, lambda, and my arguments are 2 arguments, that is first name and last name. It's as simple as it is. So whenever you pass anything like first name or last name, that will be combined, right? So I'll write all possible cases. So if some person enters with any spaces, how do you remove spaces in a string? You use strip function, and if you want to convert that thing to uppercase, you can convert. But if you're having group of words, suppose my name is with surname Kallepu Saket Reddy, I want every starting letter word to be capital, then I can use title function, right? That's where I give title, And if you want to combine two strings, what do? You just give plus, right? And I want to have some space correctly. I am writing my own function by thinking general way. So ln dot strip. So what do you use for strip? To remove spaces, and that thing also to be in capital letter. There you go, a single line function. That means whenever you pass some value, suppose if I give print of full underscore name of, it will expect two arguments. Something like if you give, that should be strings, right? Obviously, if you don't pass strings, what do you see? It will throw you a name error, obviously. When you save and execute this, A is not defined because it will expect you to pass two arguments, first name and last name. So I pass my name and I'll try to give some space, and I'll give space in the beginning, and I'll pass my last name. There you go. See, wonderful. You got your first letter as caps in Saket and first letter as caps in K. Even you can convert that thing to capitalize. There you see some difference over there. You can check, you can try on your own. So my use case is very simple. In that way, I want to convert each and everything into uppercase. I mean first letter as uppercase. Suppose if I give multiple things like this, Saket Reddy. If I am giving in this way, so what happens over there? You can clearly understand here R also will be capital. That's where Saket space, because you have given space here. Strip will not remove spaces in between, right? If you don't want to have the spaces, then make sure that you pass this as a single string. You need to understand what is happening over there, because if you pass single string, it's a small letter. That's where this is with multiple inputs, multiple arguments, where you're passing to an anonymous function. Now, with these things, what we'll try to do is, we'll just understand how do we use filter and map. Because generally follow the syntax, you need to pass your arguments and you need to give your expression. Here expression can be any type, right? Now we'll understand about filter and map by following the same syntax, where we just need to give a container, because there is a main difference between a container and an iterator. Because generally list, tuples, these are all containers only. They are storing some values, right? Because they hold some other objects and support the membership in it with the help of in, right, not in, right? When we go for iterators, what do you mean by iterator? Basically, iterator is every object is an iterator in Python, right? That is an object used to iterate over iterable object. But number is not an iterator. List, tuple are iterators when they use iter function. They are not directly iterators. That's the reason in next method we have understood that logic, right? So you just need not worry about it. If you want to make that as an iterator to iterate over a sequence, we just use next method, where first we convert that as an iterator, where we access the values. That is only difference. You need not worry about it. So just keep in mind how do you use these arguments and what is your expression, but make sure you are using lambda keyword. That is the reason these are called anonymous functions, whether you pass single argument or multiple arguments.